Jarmo, first I want to start because the last time that I talked to you, we had talked right after the draft, and you had said things. You'd made your draft picks, and you'd shocked the world with your draft pick, your first overall pick. Can you not hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Anyway, then we got to you traded Josh Anderson for Max Domi. You brought him in. Free agency came. First of all, Alexander Wenberg went out. You bought him out. Also, I don't want to forget any of the moves now. My goodness, it seems like it's been so long. You traded Ryan Murray to New Jersey, traded Marcus Nudavara to Florida, and signed Mikko Koivu as a free agent. So did I get it all? Is that where we stand right now? Did I cover it all?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. Because it's been a couple of weeks. It seems like it's been forever. Whenever we get into these long periods with no hockey, it feels like forever. So how happy are you as we sit here right now with the team that you've put together? If you had to start the season with this team, if the season started tomorrow with this group, how happy are you?
Well, you always want to be looking to make the team better, so you never want to be too satisfied. But I think that when you look at our team in the playoffs, we've added Mikko Koivu to replace Wenberg, and we've added Max Domi and Josh Anderson. He was a big part of our success, but he didn't play in the playoffs. He hardly played all last year, so we feel like we added a player into the group, a good player into the group that we were in the playoffs with, and we don't feel we're very far away from taking the next step or two to be a real contender. And we played a good series against Tampa. Wasn't good enough, but we're going to be a better team next year. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, and the thing that's always been talked about is looking down the middle. You've always been looking to get better down the middle, and as you look at what you have right now, I imagine you feel pretty darn good about where you are there, don't you?
Yeah, I think we have some quality, we have some depth, we have some size, we have some skill, and added skill with Max Domi. We got some size with Mikko Koivu, one of the best face-off men consistently in the last few years. That's going to be an important addition to our group. Some leadership, some special teams in power play with Max Domi's skill, and penalty killing with Mikko Koivu's experience. A lot of different things that we're adding. And again, we're going to be once more a little bit more experienced group with our core, and with some of our young players getting that valuable experience that we got again in the playoffs. They're going to be much better more going into the next season. And we expect them to take a step or two. We expect them to be better, faster, quicker, stronger. And we're going to be better off as a team as a result.
All right. One of the big questions, like I can go through all these questions that people are asking, and one that I am continually coming across is about the signing of Pierre-Luc Dubois. Basically, when's it going to happen? Last week, you signed Vladislav Gavrikov, so you got that done. So Pierre-Luc is the guy that is sitting out there as a restricted free agent. But I want to ask you this question because Frank set this one in. And the question is, are you ever concerned that your hard line, quote, we have the hammer negotiating approach will turn players off from signing here? And, Frank has read that in print. I know he has because I've read that. Can you explain that whole, it sounds like you're wielding this huge hammer and you're ready to call all the shots. I get the sense that's not exactly the case, and that's not what that means. Could you actually give us your approach to it, your role and how you see it when you're going through these negotiations?
Yeah, that's just a figure of speech there. It's more like it's a little bit more descriptive way of saying that we have leverage. And leverage is something that everybody's always looking for in negotiations. We have it in that one special situation, one time in the 7 years that we have their rights. And when they are starting to sell us the UFA, the unrestricted free agent years, they're going to hold all the leverage and they're going to use it always. So if we don't use it when we have it, we're not doing our job. But having said that, we're always, our goal is always to make a fair deal where both sides are happy to sign the contract, feel like they're important, feel like they're part of and big part of our team. And we've always approached every negotiation with an attitude like that. But we're running a business. So we're not just handing away money in contracts that don't make any sense. and don't fit into our future plans, because we have a salary cap that we have to live by, and not just this year, but moving into the future. So if we don't use the leverage to our advantage when we have it, we're going to run into problems staying under the salary cap. And that means we're not going to be able to build a team as good as we could if we ran it like the business should be ran. So, we're doing our job, and we're doing to the best ability that we have. And that should result the best team on the ice that we could put there. So we have to use the leverage to our advantage when we have it, and it's going to get used against us when they have it. So that's just the way the CBA is written.
All right, let's get to this question. Let's do this question from Gene, who says Gabriel Carlsson is a player that the team traded up for in the draft, in indicating that the scouts really liked him. How close does he appear to be in the top six? How close do you feel he's getting to be a top six defenseman in the NHL?
Well, I think it speaks to the confidence that we have in him, that we were able to move a couple of our really good defensemen that played well for us in the past with Nutivara and Ryan Murray. We have tremendous depth in our in the group of defensemen that we have. I think that our depth is probably among the best in the whole league, and Gabriel Carlsson's one of those guys that we have a lot of faith in, that's going to have a good career in the NHL, and he's going to have to prove that. But he's close now. He's gotten stronger. He's got the experience from the American League. He's played well for us when he's gotten the opportunity to play with us, and we're going to continue monitoring his development. And he's not a young guy anymore, so now it's time for him to show that he can stay here. He can play in the National Hockey League and be a big part of it.
Well, we're seeing a lot of guys, or at least a couple of guys, signing one-year deals as free agents in this weird time when you've got a flat salary cap and you've got a pandemic. And so Sean has this question for you. He says, are you attempting to avoid one-year deals regardless of needs? And what new contract term is healthy for the club in terms of both cup chances and locker room trust and solidarity?
I think one-year deals can be great. Like, we signed Mikko Koivu to a one-year deal, and it gives us the opportunity to see what he has. And he's not a young player anymore, so obviously it's a question of how can he sustain the success that he's had before, and keep playing on a high level. And 1 year is a perfect term for that, to see that whether this could be a relationship that lasts longer than that 1 year. And that goes to the younger UFAs as well. I don't think there's any better way to get to know the player than signing a 1 year contract and having the player prove it, and be very hungry to prove it, and then see if we can, do that again or enter into a long-term relationship. So we're definitely not against that. That's fits perfectly with the salary cap plans, and gives us an opportunity to stay flexible.
All right. Kevin has this question. He says, how closely does the general manager work with the coach in deciding upon the needs the club has and on specific players that you're considering trading away or trading for? How much do you and John Tortorella talk about those kind of things? And does it get specific at times, or is it more kind of a general type need? How do you guys approach that?
Oh, we talk about it all the time, every day, during the season in particular, in the off season as well. I keep him up to date on what moves we're considering, and how would he do his lineup if this player were to be traded. And I ask him about the players that we're considering signing. How do they fit in this plan? Sometimes the coaches don't know the individuals as well as the management and the scouting staff does, because our job is to watch those players all the time, whereas the coaches watch more of the teams and see the individuals from a little bit different perspective than we do. When they watch their video, we watch them live, evaluate them live, and do that over and over again. But when we talk about our team and how somebody fits on our team, and where's our team if we don't have that player anymore, those are the conversations that I have pretty much every day with Torts and the coaching staff, to make sure that we don't do anything with our chemistry, with our group, how tight it is to move a player that is really important to the cohesiveness or tightness of our group and the leadership part of it and all that. So I put a lot of value into what coaching staff thinks of how our room comes together and what the dynamics are in our locker room and all that. And not just the performance on the ice and what the coaches think of that, but also what it is off the ice.
Well, you led me perfectly into this next question. It's from Drew, who asks, is it difficult to pull the trigger on a trade with a player like Josh Anderson, who's come up through the system and who seems like he is close with his teammates? You just mentioned that a lot of things go into all of these decisions. With Josh Anderson, well, there are other things that go into it too, the contracts, the asks, and all that kind of stuff. So, what is that type of situation like with guys who, especially the guys who have been drafted here and developed here?
It's difficult. You create relationships with them. You become fond of them, and almost like friendships. I can't be friends with all the players, obviously, because the relationship I have as professionals, but I respect a lot of things that they do for our team, and it's a process where over the years you get to know them better and better, but then you get to the business aspect of it, and it's just with Josh Anderson in particular, it was a case of he was 1 year away from unrestricted free agency, so I basically told him face to face that either we have to agree on a contract or he's going to get traded. It's very simple. We can't afford to lose an asset like that into free agency and get nothing for him. And there was a big market for him. There were a lot of teams interested in Josh Anderson and his services. And as I told him that this would happen, it happened because we couldn't agree on a contract. And so now he's playing for the Montreal Canadiens, and we got Max Domi in a 3rd round pick as a result of the trade. And that's, you have to take the emotions out of those decisions because they were for the best of the organization and the future of our team. So you make the decisions and you move on and wish the guys that you've worked with the best of luck. And we've done that several times. We remain friends with those guys and say hello when we play against them and try to stick it to them when we play against them. So that's just the way it goes, and just part of the business, and no hard feelings, and we move on.
Yeah, sometimes they can even come back somewhere down the line. Doesn't have to be as a player. It could be in management or coaching. You never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a small world.
All right. Let me give you one here from Madison, who's 7 years old. And Madison's question very simply is, how are all of the Blue Jackets doing from a health standpoint? Of course, a very good question in this day and age. How healthy is your team right now?
It's a great question from Madison, and that's the one thing we take very seriously in these crazy times, trying to keep everybody safe and everybody healthy, and the players that we have here are getting tested twice a week, and we're taking extreme measures to keep everybody healthy and safe, and all the facilities disinfected, and we're sort of in that phase 2 that we were in before the bubble in Toronto. So our training staff, the athletic trainers, the equipment managers, all those guys, they're doing a great job keeping everything very clean and safe and healthy, the environment for the players. So, and they're getting tested twice a week. So we're just trying to maintain that, and then hopefully we'll be soon back to training camp and playing again.
All right, let me give you a fun one here. WM wants to know, can the Blue Jackets get a team dog? We need that kind of positivity. First of all, I don't know who's going to take care of that dog, who would be responsible, but
I think Torch
what do you say?
Probably volunteer.
Yeah, Torch would put it in his with all his other dogs that he takes in.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
What do you think about that? I know that's been a thing here in the last couple of years, team dogs. I don't know if that's a question for you or for somebody else, but what do you think?
Well, I've seen the pictures. I think it's great, and a lot of guys love dogs, and then you have to take in consideration some of the other things that the allergies and the everything that you just mentioned, but somebody has to take care of it, and it's a 24/7 job. So it needs to be a commitment from somebody, and needs to be the right fit. And like I said, most of the players would probably love it. There'd probably be a few that wouldn't, but I think could probably make it work. Some other teams have, and I know that we have a lot of guys in our team that have dogs. I have 2 dogs, and so we'll see what the future brings.
Yeah, a lot of guys. That was right before the pandemic, or even in the pandemic. That was one thing I know. So Zach Wierenski, I know he got one during that time, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let me see. Gene has this question. How soon before a contract can be offered to Kirill Marchenko? Everyone seems to be following Chinakov, but Marchenko has been very good also. Let's just lump those guys together. Of course, Chinakov is a guy that you drafted first overall this year, and I've seen his name a lot because he's gotten off to a great start in the KHL. Marchenko is a guy we've heard about for the last couple of years. How do you see this? And Voronov is another guy that's over there. How do you see this with these guys? Would they come over separately? Would they come over as a group to you? I don't know I forget what all that the contract status is, but how do you see them joining the Blue Jackets?
Now you can hear I have dogs probably.
Yeah. They heard me talking about dogs. They want to get in on this.
Somebody's behind the door or something. I'm not so concerned. I see a lot of, I hear a lot of comments about people being worried about when they're going to come, and are they going to come, and this and that. It's a perfect example of Vladimir Gavrikov. We had to wait for a few years, maybe a couple of years longer than we would have wanted to. But when he came here, he made an impact on our team, made our team better right away. And I just saw a KHL game where Marchenko played on Tuesday in Helsinki. Got home yesterday from Finland. And I saw Chinakov play in the tournament over there. They come when they come. They're playing in a good league. They're developing. They're getting ready to play in the National Hockey League, and it is a good enough league where they have enough experience. They play on that level, and they play perhaps on the national team, and they come over here and they're ready to play in the National Hockey League, which is not often the case with the young players. You might need 2 years of junior after you get drafted. Then you might need 2 years of American League, like Josh Anderson, for example. He played in the juniors after he got drafted, and then he played a couple of years in the minors before he was ready to play in the National Hockey League, and he's off to a great start in his career, or in the middle of it, whatever you want to call it. And but we're always worried about the Russians staying in the KHL for 3-4 years after they get drafted, and I'm not, because I think it's a good league. They develop, and when they come here, they'll be, if they're ready, they'll help us right away and make an impact on our team like Vladimir Gavrikov did. And I think we have 3 really good ones there in Russia. Voronkov is playing for Kazan and in a good big role. Same with Marchenko, with a great team in St. Petersburg, SKA, and Chinakov in Omsk. And the under-20 team just won a tournament there in Finland, where they played against men's national teams. They beat all Czech, Sweden, and Finland in that tournament, and it was a big upset that the 19, 20-year-olds beat the men's national teams. They weren't the best version of them because the KHL players were mostly out of it, and obviously no NHL players, but a lot of times in the normal times in that tournament, all the teams are filled up with the KHL players, and Finland chose not to have any. Swedes had none, and Czechs had just a couple. So, but anyhow, that was a pretty good showing for the Russian under-20 team, and they should be a pretty good candidate to challenge for the gold medal in the World Juniors in Edmonton when we get to Christmas time. But Chinakov had 3 points in 3 games and played very well and showed some flashes of brilliance, which is why we drafted him in the first round. And Marchenko we've had as a very high end prospect for a long time, and he's continuing to grow and develop and go into the right direction. And I didn't get to see Voronkov on this trip, but he's playing a regular role on a good KHL team. So they're all trending into the right direction, and we expect big things out of them.
Will you be able to go to the World Junior Tournament, or how's that working with the border closure and all that?
Well, as of now, it's going to be closed for everybody. It's going to be a bubble like the NHL, and there's not going to be anybody else allowed except the teams and that are participating with their groups. And so, as of now, there's no scouts or GMs or anybody allowed from outside the bubble people, and we'll be watching them on TV. But obviously, things change from day to day to from week to week, and we'll see where we're at when December 26th comes.
All right. Of course, we learned last week that Gus Nyquist has an injury. He's got surgery. He's going to be out for a couple of months here. So Mac wants to know, with Gus being out, is there an impetus or greater impetus to add a top six forward to allow the team to take a step forward? And if so, which is more likely, a free agent signing or a trade? And I would also add, do you have somebody within that you think could do this job as well?
Yeah, I think we have lots of candidates from within, with Liam Foudy, Texier, Bemstrom, guys that didn't play a full season last year that we think that are ready for bigger roles. We wanted to keep flexibility with the trades that we made. Ryan Murray, Marcus Nutsivara. We want to make sure that if there's an opportunity in the market, just because some teams are squeezed with their salary cap situations, that we're ready and we have that flexibility to make a move that is going to make a big impact on our team. So we still have Pierre-Luc to sign. We have plenty of cap room to do that. We're not vulnerable, but we also have flexibility to make a move if a great opportunity presents itself. Could be in the free agent market too, but we're not actively looking right now to make a splash or replace Gus Nyquist because he's going to be back this season. Probably in the most important part of the season, we'll get a great addition. And when he gets back into the lineup, we're going to be playing further into the springs when we start, most likely. And, that's part of the reason why we chose that he was going through the surgery now instead of waiting, because if he waited until the end of this season, then he could have missed half of next season. And, he's going to have 2 months under his belt of recovery before we even start, at least 2 months before we start this season. And it was unfortunate that we couldn't do it right after the season 19-20 ended, but it was something that just wasn't detected at the time and couldn't be detected at the time. And the injury kept getting worse and worse, where we thought he was going to get better with rehab, but it didn't. He had a cyst growing in there that pressed against the nerve, and he was in pain and more pain as he thought he was progressing. He wasn't. And then finally the MRI revealed that he what he had in there, and we felt that he had to get it done right away. But he'll be back this year. So played well for us last year, and when he comes back this year, he'll be a big addition to our group.
All right, let me get a question in from Madeline here. This is Hockey from Home, presented by Kemba Financial Credit Union with Jarmo Kekalainen, Blue Jackets general manager. Madeline wants to know, what is the organization's standpoint on analytics, and how do you interpret them to optimize your decision-making?
We have an excellent couple of people there that work daily on everything involving analytics, with Josh Flynn being in charge of it as our assistant general manager, and Zach Urbach, who's another one of those analytics gurus that we believe in. They're doing their analysis on the team level, on the individual level, day in and day out, basically, when we're watching video, when we're doing our depth charts, when we're doing our analysis for the potential trades or free agent signings. We always get the analytics side of the analysis on each player, and we do it on a team level when we approach the playoffs and analyze our opponents and so forth. So we definitely believe in it. It's not the whole picture, but it's a big part of it. It supports our decision making. It's not all of our decision making. We always talk about the passing the eyeball test. That's still the most important thing in our evaluations, that it has to pass the eyeball test. But the analytics are great for some things that the eyeball can't see, and detect. So it's a perfect relationship between those two, and we're going to keep trying to improve in that area. But I think we have some really good people in place to make sure that we're on top of the league there as far as the analytics and the advanced statistics, if you want to call them that, where they're at this time, and we're on top of the curve there as far as knowing where it's heading and what the trends are. So I'm very confident that we're in good hands.
All right, here's a question. Rob's asked this one, but a couple of people had something like this, so I'll ask it for fun here. Any chance we can get together with Ohio State and set up some ice for the Blue Jackets and the Buckeyes to play some games in Ohio Stadium? Be a great opportunity to play outdoors and avoid the indoor issues with COVID-19. I guess it'd be nice if you could just throw up a rink and do that. I know there's a lot more to it, but wouldn't be a bad idea. It's just a matter of, you just can't make it happen overnight, right?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about the outdoor game for years now, so maybe this is the opportunity we finally get to do it. Maybe not under the same circumstances we were hoping for when we were talking about it, but hey, we're taking every possible scenario opportunity seriously, as far as thinking outside the box, or any opportunity that we could get to play hockey again, play in front of fans, and make it exciting, and get anywhere near the normalcy would be great. So definitely looking at any opportunity. So is the league as a whole. So all those things have been talked about, and we'll see where it goes.
All right. This is another one. I know the Board of Governors had a call today, and a lot of people, of course, people want to know two things. When the heck is the season going to start, and can people be in the buildings? And I know there are no definitive answers, but from the things you heard, are you getting any sense of when those answers might come?
Well, we've talked about starting January 1. That's still the goal. So, we didn't learn anything new on that front in the Board of Governors call today. It's still we're still aiming at starting January 1 and playing as close to the normal amount of games possible. And I think we have until July, mid-July, end of July, before the Summer Olympics start, to conclude our season, and we'll try to fit as many games into that stretch that we have as possible. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're aiming at. That's the goal, and the amount of fans, that's not totally in our hands. It's in the hands of the authorities, as we've seen when we got the lockdown in March. We have to obey the rules of the state and the city, and make sure that everybody stays healthy and safe. And that's the main focus. Obviously, that's the most important thing. And after that, when that's fulfilled, then we can try to get as good of an experience for everybody, whether it's live or on TV, and hopefully pretty soon with the vaccine, we can get back to normal and get all our fans back into our building.
All right, let me ask you this question from Joey, and I'm going to add to it at the end here. Joey says, at the start of last year, Elvis was the backup to Jonas Korpisalo. Elvis went 0-4-4, and then he became the starter, and he finished the season 13-9 with 5 shutouts. Are there any plans to split time between Corpy and Elvis? Now, that's Joey's question. I'm going to take it a little step further here. You were just talking about the number of games you might be able to play. Do you think that this is a season where teams like yours, where you have 2 proven goaltenders, are going to be at a big advantage? Because if you have to play a lot of games in short spans of time, if it becomes a compacted schedule, then you don't have to lean on one guy too much. You can kind of get it more of an even split. Am I overthinking that, or what do you say to both Joey and I on that?
No, I think you're right on the money. I think it's going to be a compacted schedule for sure. There's no question about it. It's going to be busy. There's not going to be All-Star break. There's not going to be bye week. We're going to play, and we're going to play a lot of hockey in a shorter amount of time than we're used to. So it's definitely going to be to our advantage to have 2 goalies. I think it was to our advantage last year, and in the playoffs until Elvis got hurt. And I think it's going to be even a bigger advantage in going into this year because they're, again, older, more experienced, better, and they should be a big part of our team. And knowing that any given night we can throw either one of them in the net and be very confident that we have a very capable number one level goalie in either one of them.
And that's something that you see teams doing that here in the last couple of years too, right? I mean, are the days of your starting goaltender playing 65, 70 games, are those days gone with the amount of physical toll that it takes on a goaltender to play in today's NHL with the speed and the lateral movement?
Yeah, I think it's a rare luxury, though. So you tend to overload your number one goalie. If you don't have that luxury, the coaches want to win every game. We want to win every game. Players want to win every game. And if you have a goalie that's capable of handling the workload, he's going to get thrown in. And the backup goalie, if he's a level below the number one goalie, he's going to have to only play every couple of weeks, and maybe some of the second nights of the back-to-backs, and that's a tough job too. So having two goalies that can split some of the duties is going to be great. But Torch too, that it's going to be a competition, and who's going to play better is going to play more games, and that's just the way Torch coaches, and internal competition is great. I've said it many times too. I think it pushes everybody. I think it makes everybody better, and I think it's healthy. So we want to have that internal competition, whether it's goaltending or defense or forwards, and that'll make us better.
All right, as we wind down here on Hockey from Home, presented by Kemba Financial Credit Union, here's one for you. Mac wants to know, he says, I'm a student at the University of Tampa studying sports management. I'm wondering how you worked your way up to get the position you're in now. I am going to try to become a GM as well. Now, you played in the league. That's not 100% necessary. I know it helps a lot, but are there hope for those that didn't play in the National Hockey League to ascend to a kind of position you have?
I think the GM of Tampa Bay never played in the National Hockey League,
Right.
and Doug Armstrong was the GM of the Stanley Cup champion the year before. I don't think he ever played in the National Hockey League either, and they're both great general managers, and so I encourage anybody that has that as their dream to just work hard and be passionate about it, and go to hockey games. And so that's how I got my foot in the door, is scouting. I started as a part-time scout and worked my way up to general manager. Did the amateur scouting for 15 years, watched anywhere from 200 to 300 hockey games a year, and didn't make a lot of money, and just loved it. Loved every second of it, watching hockey, evaluating players, being part of building a team, and in a smaller capacity first, and then got moved up in the rankings and got more involved, and now I'm here. So anything is possible. I'm not here because of the games I played in the NHL, that's for sure. My career wasn't that glorious, and I played 55 games in the NHL, so you can hardly call it a great career. But I enjoyed every moment of that too, and I'm proud of it. But I'm not here because of how I played hockey. It's totally other reasons. So I encourage him to go after his dream and work hard at it.
All right. I'll ask you one more thing here. And it's kind of, so many people want to know about Pierre-Luc Dubois and when they're going to get the good news that he's set and everything's good with him. I want to ask it from this perspective, because I've been saying this, and I want to know if this is the way that you look at it as a general manager. Right now, there aren't really any kind of deadlines, right? I mean, the season is going to start January 1st, we think. You're just waiting for that. Okay, this is when it's going to be. Training camp's going to open this day. The season will start this day. Once those dates are firm, does that put more urgency into teams to all of a sudden get things done? Not only you getting Pierre-Luc signed, but also the teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning, or teams that are over that salary cap that are going to have to move players to get under the salary cap. Are you guys as general managers, I know you're always talking, but are you waiting for those dates to be secured so there are actual deadlines, when you have to get things done?
Yeah, I think it puts clarity into the situation, and that's why we want to have that flexibility that I talked about. I'm not at all worried about Pierre-Luc Dubois getting signed. If he wants to play in the National Hockey League, he's going to have to agree with on a contract with us. And there's no way around it unless somebody would be foolish enough to make an offer sheet, which we can always match with the room that we have. And, last year, it was not until a few days before training camp started that we agreed with Zach Werenski, and I'm sure we're going to do the same thing with Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm not at all concerned about it. We like him. He's a big part of our future. We want to sign him to a fair contract and move forward. But I want him in training camp and want to make sure that he's preparing with our team and getting ready for the season. And so hopefully everything will get done before training camp, and I'm confident they will.
As I was closing out the questions, I scrolled by one that I saw, and it just got my attention. You put your Christmas lights up and on before or after Thanksgiving?
I think it'll we've been a little late with our process here, so it may be after Thanksgiving, but we're kind of getting used to. We're from Finland, so in Finland you probably have the Christmas lights like 1 week before Christmas, and maybe 2, and here people do it after Halloween, it looks like. So we're a little late, but I think right around Thanksgiving, maybe a little after, we should have them up.
I'm going to be honest. I did it last weekend. It had nothing to do with what time of the year it was. It was 75 degrees. And if I'm going to put them up, I'm doing it in shorts and a T-shirt. And that's the way I did it.
Yeah, that's not a bad plan. We have to take the Halloween lights down first.
Yeah, I like kind of threw the pumpkin in the bag and then put up the Christmas lights, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Jarmo, thank you very much. Really do appreciate your time for doing this and getting everybody updated. Great to see you. Great to talk to you. And hopefully those dates will soon become solid dates and you can get back to training camp, get that team on the ice and start to compete once again for Stanley Cup. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
That is Jarmo Kekalainen, Blue Jackets General Manager. Thank you for joining us tonight on this edition of Hockey from Home. It's been brought to you by Kemba Financial Credit Union. And keep looking at BlueJackets.com because when we do this again, you'll be notified when we're going to do it. We love having you aboard. Great questions tonight. Really appreciate those as always. And that's going to do it once again for Hockey from Home, presented by Kemba Financial Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.